Well, I do believe wholeheartedly in the team approach, and the reason that we like the team approach is we can get various experts to the table with one client and have them discuss the client's issues as a group, and my expertise is in one area, but we can bring all the experts to the table and have them interact so that the client kind of gets a full coverage or a full round of advice on all of their issues, not just legal. Well, the team concept is promoted primarily on an individual basis. The core of the team is going to consist of a financial advisor who usually is the first contact with the client. Then we're going to have a CPA and we're going to have an attorney. And those three make up the core of the team. Now, those people will make contact with clients and then bring the others in as required. And there may be some other players involved, such as bankers, mortgage brokers, those sorts of things as needed. The type of client that needs the team approach the most is a client that wants to be a little bit more sophisticated or savvy in their planning. The problem with the traditional approach, as I'll call it, where you might have one advisor or two advisors, or maybe even the entire core of a financial planner, an attorney, and a CPA, but the problem with that traditional approach is they're not talking to one another. And so these people need to be talking to one another on a regular basis. They need to know one another. And when the client comes in to talk to one, the others should get involved. And so the client that most needs that sort of approach is the one that wants to be a little bit more full in their coverage of the issues and make sure that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing, because if not, that's when problems arise. The way that the team approach works is the point person, as I'll call it, whether that be the financial advisor or the CPA, the attorney, that's the person who first makes contact with the client. They would do a needs assessment on their end, but they would also then talk to the client about whether the client feels there's a need to have a CPA or a financial advisor or other professionals involved. And if that person indicates that they would like to talk to that other professional, then whoever the point person happens to be at that time would bring those other professionals to the table. What I've found is that a lot of planners, whether they are financial planners or CPAs or attorneys, or other professionals for that matter, are not typically using a team approach. What they're doing is kind of looking out for their own business interests, and we want to make sure that we keep the interests of the client first and foremost. So when I see a need for someone to buy insurance, talk to a financial advisor, have a second opinion on taxes, or whatever the issue may be, I, through my years of practice, have assembled people that I can bring to the table and direct the client to those people, but most people are not using that approach. When we first meet with a client and we discover that there's a need for other professionals to become involved, for example, financial advisor, we want to have some sort of disclaimer that says we are allowed to share information back and forth between the professionals. It really is in the client's best interest to do that. However, sometimes they will say they don't want that to happen, so we have to abide by the wishes of the client, whatever they decide. If a client already has a particular professional involved other than an attorney in their life, say for example a CPA, we will try as best we can to work with that CPA. It becomes very evident very quickly whether that CPA knows what they're doing or not. And then we can offer the client a second opinion if they require that, or if the CPA really knows what they're doing, then we will definitely work with the existing CPA. What I advise clients is this: when they want to utilize the team approach, either I or one of the other professionals involved should call a joint meeting. And it doesn't matter where it takes place. It can be at someone else's office, it can be at the home of the client or the business of the client. But what we want to do is we want to get all of the professionals at the table at the same time so that they see each other's faces, they know each other's names, and hopefully that begins an ongoing dialogue going forward for the client that continues to take place over the coming years, so that, for example, if the financial advisor sells some additional insurance to the client, they haven't destroyed my estate tax planning, or they haven't done something that the CPA would not recommend. We just want to make sure that that dialogue is ongoing. I would say that the team approach is definitely a win-win situation. The client gets the benefit of all the advice. And by the way, most of these folks that I'm going to deal with are going to come to the table and offer the advice at no cost to the client. Whether the client decides to take that advice or not, obviously, is up to the client. But they're going to get the advice from all the professionals at no cost to the client, so the client wins in that regard. And that's what's most important. And then the other professionals, if you want to say that they win in that sense, what I get out of it is I get some backup in terms of taxation issues, in terms of financial issues, where I feel like I'm helping provide some things to the client that they might not otherwise have. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.